What is up, guys? Randomonium here. So I got some great feedback from the Art of the Draft episode I did for Cloud9 versus TSM Game 1. So this will be Game 2 from that series, and I'm hoping to do the rest of them. But if you're enjoying this series, always comments are very appreciated, likes are very appreciated. But yeah, let's get into this video, and we'll talk about the pick ban phase and how that affects team compositions. Since team compositions define win conditions, they're extremely useful, and I'll show you guys my tool that allows me to predict which team has a greater chance at winning. And this tool has some pretty strong accuracy. It's not accurate 100%, but traditionally I can predict the correct winner of a pro game at least 70% of the time. So real fast, let's go through the ban phase. So we can see that Cloud9 goes for the Irelia, they go for Lissandra, they go for Akali. So first, these champions seem kind of random, perhaps. But all of these champions have a lot of skill potential, and they're great at basically defying death. So you can see, like, Lissandra typically gets a stopwatch. She has her self ult. She gets a Zanya. She's got her E for her claw. Akali's got her shroud. She also will typically go a stopwatch. Irelia has been able to dash around a lot. She typically goes GA. They've all got a lot of tools to really extend fights and avoid getting caught, which you'll see kind of counters what Cloud9 wants to do with their team composition. So I think all these bans on Cloud9's part are very sneaky, but very well thought out. On TSM's side, they go for the Sylas, which makes sense. Sylas is a pretty common red side ban. Kindred is a target ban against Cloud9, and then the Taric ban is also a target ban because in Game 1 they played the Sona and the Taric, so they basically want to try and get rid of the option of Cloud9 basically running it back with Sona Taric bot lane. So you can see that Cloud9 is hovering the Sona as kind of a meme to kind of remind them of how TSM lost the first game. And they wind up locking in the Tahm Kench, which is a great pickup. Tahm Kench is frequently banned, so them winning with the Taric Sona bot lane freed up that ban for Game 2, which allowed them to lock in the Tahm Kench, which was definitely an advantage for Cloud9. TSM responds by going for the Varus and the Jarvan pick, and I actually really like these picks because Varus is a very versatile AD. He can basically go for the lethality build if you want to go more towards a siege composition, and he can go for an on-hit build if you want to go more towards a protect composition or an attack composition. And then also he has decent catch potential with his ultimate. So I really like the Varus pickup. It doesn't show your hand a lot. You can be basically go to a bunch of different team compositions from a Varus. So yeah, I definitely like that pickup. And then Jarvan's a good pickup. He's good in both attack and catch compositions, but his real value is he's a flex pick for both top lane and jungle. So TSM is basically not showing their hand at all with these first two picks, which is definitely something you want to see. Cloud9 responds by going for the Ashe and the Rek'Sai. This tips their hand definitely towards a catch composition. So TSM should be thinking in their head, okay, it looks like Cloud9 is going towards a catch composition. So we want to go either towards a protect or a siege composition. However, Cloud9 still could go towards an attack composition if they draft a lot more engage, or they could go towards a siege composition, since Ashe can be decent in a siege composition as well if they say pick up a Zoe and they pick up a Jace or something like that. So Cloud9 can definitely go pivot to multiple different combinations, but they're definitely showing catch primarily. TSM winds up picking up the Braum, which is definitely a good pickup. Braum is a very versatile support. So you can see they've got three very versatile champions. They're not really showing their hand at this point. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull over the Team Comp tool so you can see what basically is going on with these picks that both TSM and Cloud9 have gone for. So you can see that Cloud9 is definitely leaning towards a catch composition. That's definitely their primary. Their secondary is attack, and their tertiary is siege. Meanwhile, you can see that TSM is a bit more balanced. They're just barely an attack composition. Secondary is catch. Tertiary is protect. So you can see that the two main ones that Cloud9 has are countered by a protect composition. So ideally, you'd want to see TSM go towards a protect composition. But what TSM needs to be careful of is that if they go towards a protect composition, then that means that Cloud9 could go toward a siege composition, which counters a protect composition. So I guess in the most ideal state, what we would want to see is that TSM would ban out siege champions like Zoe or Jace, things like that, and then they would go towards a protect composition. So they'd go towards a juggernaut or a tank top laner that would be good at disengaging or basically being some type of impassable wall for TSM, and then you would see them go also towards a DPS threat or a more supportive champion for their mid lane. So they could go for like a Cassiopeia or a Corki in mid lane if they want, or an Azir for a secondary DPS threat, or they could go more towards a supportive champion like a Zillion or a Karma or Morgana or something like that if they wanted to go more in to basically create a Protect the Varus composition. So those are the two ways that they could go. The other thing that they could do is they could say, okay, Cloud9, you're going to go for a catch composition. We're going to match you as a catch composition. And then you draft somebody who has very strong catch potential, like a Syndra in mid lane. And that gives you basically a 50-50 shot. You basically turn it into a coin flip, which would be an improvement because right now they're sitting at a disadvantage because Cloud9 has a catch composition, TSM has an attack composition. So let's see what they do with their the rest of their bans and their picks. So we can see that with the first ban, they're going to ban Zoe. Great ban. That's exactly what I would want them to do. They want to ban out those siege champions so that Cloud9 cannot transition to a siege composition. Cloud9 bans out the Rise, which I don't think really helps them that much. Maybe they're worried about Bjergsen getting out on the side lane, but Cloud9 is actually set up pretty well to deal with a split pusher with a lot of their catch potential. And then TSM bans out the Jace. Another really good ban, because Jace is a really good sieging champion, especially when he gets ahead. So I really like both of these bans from TSM, because they're basically preventing Cloud9 from going towards that siege composition. And then Cloud9 also bans out the Vel'Koz, which is another really good sieging champion. So that ban of the Vel'Koz actually helps TSM, because now there are even fewer options that Cloud9 can go towards that would be a siege composition. So at this point, TSM is really set up to transition to a protect composition that would counter Cloud9. Cloud9 would not be able to answer because there are no sieging champions left, and there aren't that many good split pushers left either. So Cloud9 would basically be locked into either a catch composition or an attack composition, and TSM would have a protect composition, which would be favored. Let's see what TSM winds up going for in this situation. So they hover the Z, which actually would not be a bad pickup because that means that they would be going towards a catch composition, which would basically, cancel out the catch composition of Cloud9 and turn the game into a coin flip, which is definitely better than being at a disadvantage from a team composition perspective. So they hover the Z, probably not going to pick it, and they go instead for the Kennen. This, in my opinion, is a massive mistake because Kennen is primarily good in attack compositions or split push compositions. Well, it turns out that catch compositions are really good against attack compositions and split push compositions. So TSM basically countered themselves by going for this Kennen pick. So I definitely do not like this Kennen pick. It kind of basically forces them more into an attack composition, which is exactly what Cloud9 wants. So now Cloud9 is in the driver's seat. They can basically pick whatever they want as long as they don't alter their team composition too greatly. then they're going to come out with a significant advantage. So they pick up the Gangplank in top lane. That's fine, doesn't really hurt them. And the Morgana for mid lane is actually a really good pickup because it makes their catch potential even better. So this sets them up really well against TSM, who's definitely going towards attack composition. They wind up picking up the Corki in mid lane, which Corki is a good pick. Corki would have been a good pick to go towards a protect composition, but the Kennen is what really kind of winds up screwing them, in my opinion. So let's bring this over again and let's put in Cloud9's pick. So though they had the Gangplank in top lane, and they have the Morgana in mid lane. So we can see that Cloud9 has a catch composition. That is their primary composition by far and away. And then the other three compositions, attack, protect, and siege, are all relatively close. But they're primarily a catch composition. So let's put in the Corki pick. So let's put in that first, since I didn't mind the Corki pick at all. So we put in the Corki pick, and hey, look at that. We're still in an attack composition, but we're also almost a protect composition. That's now our secondary instead of catch being our secondary. So if we go towards the Kennen pick, though, what happens is it winds up greatly skewing us towards attack. And now we are basically in a position where we have an attack composition. The enemy team has a catch composition. They have the advantage. So you can see that TSM only has a 23% chance to win, as opposed to Cloud9, which has the 77% chance to win. What if instead we went with, say, Poppy? Since Poppy's been popping up a lot, we can do Poppy or Cho'Gath. So let's say we go Poppy. Whoa, look at that. We went from having a 23% chance to win to having a 83% chance to win. And the same thing I think will be true with Cho'Gath. So boom, yeah, Cho'Gath still have a really high chance to win. So that Kennen pick, in my opinion, wound up really hurting TSM. They should have gone more towards a tankier champion who would basically just be somebody that prevented engage, who could basically face check those brushes that they needed to, so that way they could get their vision down to prevent those picks that Cloud9 was going for with their catch composition. So that's where I think the TSM made a mistake in this draft phase. And if I advance forward, we can see that it winds up being a pretty clear victory for Cloud9. Yeah, it winds up being they wind up basically just running away with the game. Winds up being a victory in 27 minutes with a scoreline of around 12-4, 9 towers to 2. And yeah, TSM kind of shot themselves in the foot with the draft. Like, the first part of the draft was great. The bans that they had in the second phase were great. It's just that Kennen pick. That Kennen pick really hurt them. They could have also potentially gone for the Syndra instead. So let me bring this back over real fast. So let's say they do go for the Kennen for that first pick. So, and then let's say instead of going for a Corki as their last pick, they go for a Syndra, somebody who's like really strong in a catch composition. So now instead, if they go for the Syndra, they wind up with a 50-50. So that they both have catch composition, and it comes down to whoever executes better. So going for the Kennen pick, I think, was a huge mistake. But then once I locked in the Kennen pick, going for the Corki pick was also a mistake because it locked them into an attack composition when they still had the potential to pivot to a catch composition with something like a Syndra. So ideally, you would have wanted to see them go towards a protect composition, but their secondary plan should have been going to a catch composition. And instead, they locked themselves into this attack composition, which put them at a disadvantage against Cloud9's catch composition. So I hope that made sense. Please let me know if it didn't. Please leave comments if you like this video series. It's not that difficult to do. So I would love to keep doing these, but I definitely like to hear your guys' feedback on what videos you enjoy. if this is the type of stuff you like, we do a lot of team composition discussions on our Discord. I am trying to get together a bunch of teams where we can talk about the meta and we can talk about pick ban phase and drafting in ways that not just apply to pro play, but also apply to solo queue and apply to flex and clash and things like that. So Discord is a great place to come talk to me or talk to other people who are interested in similar things. Link to our Discord is in the video description below. But anyway, I hope you guys all have a fantastic day. This is Randomonium signing off.